The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Politicizing the murder of Charlie King to go after free speech is not a legacy I believe Charlie King would have wanted.
Anyone that has been terminated, the FBI has been done so because they failed to meet the muster and their constitutional obligation.
I will work on the audio-visual capabilities.
I'm going to borrow your terminology and call bull on your entire career in Congress.
It has been a
disgrace to the American people. You can reclaim your time all you want.
Mr. Chairman, you're going to allow a witness to speak this way? Mr. Chairman, would you
recuse yourself,
The gentleman has no time.
Mr. Chairman, would you admonish the witness not to insult members?
The gentleman has no time.
Mr. Chairman,
the committee will remember.
Quick point of order. Could the gentleman be extended an additional 20 seconds to complete his thoughts?
Why don't you try serving your constituency by focusing on reducing violent crime in this country and the number of pedophiles that are legally harbored in your sanctuary cities in California? I'll work with you on that.
Regular order, Mr. Chairman.
I belong to the gentleman from California.
It was a contentious hearing. Jim Jordan, House Oversight. It was just on and on like that. That was Kash Patel. The first one was Jerry Nadler. Retiring Jerry Nadler, New York Democrat. Play that one again because it went kind of fast. It speaks for itself.
Politicizing the murder of Charlie King to go after free speech is not a legacy I believe Charlie King would have wanted.
Okay, Jerry Nadler's retiring. He says it's time for a new generation to come in. By the way, which reminds me, let me pull that story up from here. Welcome, my friends. Wednesday edition of Bill Snerdley's Rush Hour. There was a story yesterday. Donna Brazile, Eleanor Holmes Norton should not run for re-election. Brazile was Eleanor Holmes Norton's campaign manager back in 1990. She says she's now the oldest current House member, no longer the dynamo she was at a time when D.C. needs the kind of energetic representation in Congress that she used to provide. So. And then you had that Jerry Nadler bit. I think that kind of speaks, discussing the murder of Charlie King. Words are a big deal right now. They're everywhere. Discussion about words, how people are using words. Illinois Republicans, finally, my friends, are calling for a recall of Governor J.B. Pritzker. Now, whether it gains any steam or not, I do not know. Don't know what the dynamics are. I'll have to look closer at what the numbers are in the state. But Democrat Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, fact-checked by conservatives on social media, he claimed that he never called Republicans Nazis. Lawmakers on both of the aisles are trading barbs in the aftermath of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. This is completely false. Pritzker said, "I've never called Republicans Nazis." He said at a press conference. Well, you can say that, but here is a statement that he made in February. In February, J.B. Pritzker said the authoritarian playbook is laid bare here. They point, speaking of Republicans, they point to a group of people who don't look like you and tell you to blame them for your problems. If you think I'm overreacting and sounding the alarm too soon, consider this. It took the Nazis 1 month, 3 weeks, 2 days, 8 hours, and 40 minutes to dismantle a constitutional republic. Tyranny, he went on to say, requires your fear and your silence and your compliance. Democracy requires your courage. So gather your justice and humanity, Illinois, and do not let the tragic spirit of despair overcome us when our country needs us the most. And he has made other remarks, and of course we have played a lot of his remarks. He's not the only one. You have heard Trump is Hitler. I don't know how many times we've heard it. If we compile them from all the different sources, it would be a monumental task since 2016, because the words Hitler, as you know, fascist, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, they've been thrown around at Republicans, and I keep saying they've been thrown around for a long time. I didn't even know how long they've been thrown around until I stumbled upon, of all nights, last night. I stumbled upon a documentary series from CNN documentaries. And I know it's CNN, but the series is an interest to me because, of course, I'm always interested in historical documentaries. And it is a series devoted to looking at presidential races over the centuries of America's history. And it looked at, of course, the Abe Lincoln, Stephen Douglas contest for the Senate race there, which led, of course, Lincoln to put Lincoln in a position, even though he lost that Senate race, in a position to elevate to the presidency. Other races they looked at. Nixon, which of course always fascinates me. But one in particular grabbed my attention, and I watched this entire documentary, and when I tell you, it came a point I was stunned. And I was stunned with a light bulb went off, and I said, oh my gosh, this is how long this has been going on, ladies and gentlemen. Many of you know the year was 1948, the presidential election. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Democrat hero, Democrat icon, had passed. Harry Truman, of course, unprepared to be president because he had only been a member of the Roosevelt administration, still for just a few months, kept totally in the dark, had only met with Franklin Delano Roosevelt as vice president, only had 2 meetings with him, and yet he was thrust into the role of presidency. It was a time that Republicans, and this would be, by the way, the last time Republicans held power until the days of Rush Limbaugh, Republicans won the midterm elections, and that was for the first time in years, and proceeded to block all of Harry Truman's presidential initiatives. Harry Truman, they considered him kind of a lightweight. He was considered, apparently, if you believe what this documentary was saying, kind of a lightweight, a dunce in many ways. What didn't have the greatest speaking style. Finally shows up at the Republican, at the Democrat Party nomination. They put his speech on at 2 a.m. But he electrified the gathering, and that began slowly to mark a turnaround, although the polling was wildly in favor of Thomas Dewey, Republican, elite, Republican, telegenic, Republican, had a nationwide following and name recognition, while Harry Truman was still trying to come out of the shadows of being nothing in terms of name recognition. The campaign goes on. They talk, of course, about this endless, which you see all the time, those of you that study history. They get on the trains and crisscross America. That was a big deal in 1948. And what happens is Harry Truman has 2 things happening on this while he's in the train. The DNC back in Washington is sending him Oppo research on Dewey, on other figures that are in Republicans. But another thing happens there. They are sending him detailed analysis of every stop that he's making. And Truman's able to talk to the issues right to the people that he's talking with. And this is all getting national coverage back then. There's no internet. There was no Rush Limbaugh program. There was no, 3 networks covering everything. And the news, an hour of news a night? That's it. In some cases, wasn't a 24-hour news cycle. And meanwhile, I didn't even know until the documentary that there was a competing train tour by Dewey because it's never discussed. At first, the crowds were huge for Dewey, but he's doing nothing but talking platitudes. They're playing it safe. They don't want to say anything. He is the clear front runner, coast till the election. Long story short, Harry Truman gets desperate. The polls are looking horrible. But he's starting to inch up in the polls. He's starting to gain traction. He goes on the offensive. What does he do? Harry Truman compares Dewey to a Nazi. And this, my friends, happens right. Don't forget, we're in 1948. 3 years. 3 years after World War II. It is fresh. No one would dream of calling an American pretty much or suggesting that a Republican candidate running for president, a fine man, decent guy by all accounts, is a Nazi. He did it. 1948. A speech in Chicago, of all places, speaking of Pritzker in Illinois. In speeches, particularly one given in Chicago in October 1948, Harry Truman drew parallels between Nazi Germany and his Republican opponent's economic policy. He claimed that when a small, powerful group controls the nation's economy, they install a frontman to rule the country. He then compared that to pre-war Germany, where a small group of industrialists and bankers, hint, hint, you know what that means. Some of you really know what a small group of bankers, industrialists, put Adolf Hitler in power. How the media went at it? New York Times. President likens Dewey to Hitler as fascist tool. The headline focused on the most incendiary aspect of the comparison, leading many readers to believe that Truman had explicitly called Dewey a Nazi, although he had not. You go back to that Pritzker. Well, he didn't explicitly call Republicans a Nazi. Well, what do people think? And my point in bringing this up, it's the same playbook, folks. They've been running this playbook on us since right after World War II. Then he went after the Do-Nothing Congress, which kind of resonated. Now, by the way, there's one thing else that was part of the playbook, too. After Harry Truman called him pretty much, you're a Nazi, you Republicans are a bunch of Nazis in today's lingo, Thomas Dewey, instead of responding, did a poll among the RNC, the elites of the party. Should I go on the attack? Should I attack him vociferously for this slight? And you know what they told him? No, it's not presidential. No. Don't go back on the attack with him. Let it go. Put your tail between the legs and take it. And Democrats have been using the tactics ever since, and for many years, Republican presidents, up until Donald Trump, have been also following the playbook. And what has upset the entire left in America is, for the first time maybe since 1948, a Republican president is not taking it and is fighting back with full force against the hatred that has been spewed against this party since 1948. Got to take a break. James Golden, we'll be right back. Don't go away.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Let me just give you a little postscript with this interview, this documentary from CNN. So Truman ends up, of course, becoming the first Democrat to pretty much call Republicans Nazis and fascists, something they've been doing ever since. He, victorious in the race, stunned the entire nation. Afterwards, what was the slogan attached to his style of politics? Calling the Republicans Nazis, fascists. Give 'em hell, Harry. And that has been echoed as the slogan that Democrats embraced, cheering the campaign waged by Harry Truman against Thomas Dewey. Give 'em hell. I would postulate, ladies and gentlemen, that Democrats have been giving America hell. They have literally and figuratively been giving America hell in many forms ever since. Jerry has quit Ben and Jerry's. It might surprise you to learn that I actually agree with Jerry. I'll talk about that and more when we get back. Whatever you do, keep it right here. Do not go away. Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour, fastest hour in American media.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
So Charlie Kirk died 3 days ago. And since then, I have seen a lot of content from him that I've never seen before. And a lot of it is him talking about his faith. And I've seen his content before, but only him debating the college kids. I've never seen anything else. I didn't even really know he was religious like that. And brother, ever since he passed away 3 days ago, every time I see a video of him talking about his faith, straight waterworks. Like I can't, it's almost hard to control. And I've had a lot of people talk to me about God personally. I've seen a lot of people talk about God online. And I've also been following this whole Charlie Kirk situation where I've seen everything that's happened. And I've seen a lot of his other content, and none of it makes me emotional. Except when he passed away, that was really sad, but nothing else. For some reason, whenever he's been talking about God, I am just trying to not lose control. So it's just got me feeling really weird, and I've had a few people telling me, like, maybe it's God trying to reach out to you, which sounds crazy to me because I've never believed in God, ever. I've always been like, that doesn't exist, it's not real, but it doesn't make sense. It's like, why would I get so, I'm not an emotional dude at all, so for me to get, like, uncontrollably emotional about this thing that I don't even believe in, it's like, well, why is that happening? It doesn't even make any sense to me at all. So I got a Bible. I got this little thing right here. I don't know if it's the correct version. I've heard that there's a lot of different versions of it. I've heard people say that this is better than the other. I don't know. And I've also heard that it's hard to translate it sometimes. So your boy's going to be on ChatGPT trying to figure it out and go through it. But I guess this marks day one of me trying to read the Bible and see what it's about.
James Golden, Snerdley. Ben and Jerry's, ladies and gentlemen. I'm in a dilemma here because I've got so much audio for you to hear, but then I want to talk about some other things. So I don't know. We'll just go. Ben & Jerry's co-founder Jerry Greenfield is leaving the ice cream brand after 47 years, says that the independence it once had to speak up on social issues has been stifled by the parent company, now Unilever. Ben Cohen, the Ben of Ben & Jerry's, posted the letter on social media platform X. Some liberals still go on X. For more than 20 years under their ownership, Ben & Jerry's stood up, spoke out in support of peace, justice, human rights, not as abstract concepts, but in relation to real events happening in the world. He wrote that independence existed in no small part because of the unique merger agreement Ben and I negotiated with Unilever, one that enshrined our social mission values in the company's governance structure in perpetuity. It is profoundly disappointing to come to the conclusion that that independence, the very basis of our sale to Unilever, is gone. Greenfield said the loss of independence was coming at a time when our current country's current administration is attacking civil rights, voting rights, the rights of immigrants, women, and the LGBTQ community. Standing up for the values of justice, equity, shared humanity has never been more important. Yet, Ben & Jerry's has been silent, sidelined for fear of upsetting those in power. It's easy to stand up and speak out when there's nothing at risk. The real test of values is when times are challenging and you have something to lose. So Jerry's leaving, and they're leaving because they say that Unilever won't let them, or the implication is that Unilever will not let them conduct business the way that they want to conduct business, speak out about social issues. Now, I don't eat Ben & Jerry's ice cream. I think maybe there's one. I don't eat stuff with eggs in them, so because I don't do eggs. So anyway, a lot of Ben & Jerry's, I don't eat Ben & Jerry's ice cream. I think maybe they had one flavor that didn't have it, and so somebody tried it once. But Ben & Jerry's built a brand, and everybody knew who they were. A bunch of libs, a bunch of commie libs, and they believe commie lib stuff. And by the way, when I say believe commie lib stuff, because they made a statement that I happen to agree. They say that their ice cream is colorful containers with flavor names such as Cherry Garcia, fish food with a P, was always about more than just ice cream. It was a way to spread love and invite others into the fight for equity, justice, and a better world. I am not opposed to spreading love, folks. I believe in spreading love. I believe in a better world. I believe in justice, all those things. Equity, I think equity and sounds good. Equity in the real world, that's another discussion. But when I say I agree with him, if he feels, as co-owner, that his voice is being silenced by the parent company, I agree with him that he should leave. And I can understand him being disappointed. I don't agree with much politically with the statements and positions that Ben & Jerry's has taken over the years, but they're committed to who they are, and they've never hid it. They have never hid and said they have never hid who they are, what they believed, and I respect them for that. And if they are finding themselves now at a point where they can't express or feel that they can't express themselves because of corporate pressures, I also agree with him coming forward and saying, hey, I'm out of here. This is not what I'm going to do. Now, I also think at the same time, well, James, are you saying that you agree with their analysis of what? No, of course I don't agree with their analysis of what's taking place with this administration. I think it is not accurate. But here's what I also think. The self-policing that is going on, that we find ourselves in the middle of currently, with people being held to account for their words in the private sector, and in some cases in the government sector, is a great thing. This is the strength of our First Amendment. Yes, the government can't squelch your speech, except if that speech is incendiary and can harm other people and incite other people to violence or suggest like terrorist attacks or something like that. Yeah. The broadness of our First Amendment is an amazing thing in spite of the ramifications. But what we're also seeing at work is the beginning to see the re-emergence of responsibility from the public, from the private sector. People that are saying this speech, while it may be protected under the First Amendment, is so heinous and so awful that our company, the company of people that associate with us, do not want to associate with it. Nor do we want to associate with the character or the lack of character that someone has to put this stuff forward out in public. And there is self-policing going on. And that is wonderful. And I don't know whether this is going to be a real game changer or not. But we are looking at something very different here than we have looked at and that we have seen for many, many, many decades in this country. All right, time running out on this, the fastest hour in American media. Let's quickly deal with the House today. Jim Jordan did a bang-up job. And Jim Jordan, of course, Kash Patel was just under fire. You heard earlier with Eric Swalwell. He called his entire career BS. Beautifully. He was questioned a lot on the Epstein business. And we have that Pramila Jayapal. This goes on. We won't be able to hear the whole thing, but you'll get that's cut 6. This is just a portion of that kind of exchange.
Of time, because that's how much time he took. You won't get a minute. You'll get some seconds. What we think is under 5 minutes. You don't get to demand how much time you get. That's not how it works.
Mr. Patel, are the victims of the Jeffrey Epstein horrific trafficking ring, are they credible?
Any person with information about ongoing sexual trafficking.
I'm asking you if they're credible.
Ma'am, I'm commenting on the evidence we have. But we have routinely asked for people to come forward with more evidence, and we will look at it. And the evidence that we have was the same evidence that the Biden and Obama Justice Departments had. And they determined, not me, they determined that information was not credible.
Chairman, he's not letting me even ask my questions.
You ask the questions, he gives an answer. You may not like what he says, but that doesn't mean you get to interrupt him.
He's not answering my question.
Mr. Chairman, could we restore the gentlelady 45 seconds so she can complete her question?
We will give her additional 30 seconds, which is what I said earlier.
I'm going to keep taking my time. Because
no, you'll take the time that you get.
You are not answering the question. The question is,
you just don't like the answer.
Are these women credible? It's a yes or no answer.
I have answered the question.
Well, what is the answer?
I'm telling you, I'm the only FBI director that has welcomed new information in this case. This administration is the only one that has welcomed any new information in this case.
Is there a yes or no to
present new credible information? Present new information.
Are the victims credible or not?
I'll tell you what happened in the last Trump administration.
Are they credible or not? You can't even say.
Victims credibly came forward, and you know what happened? President Trump authorized the indictments of Jeffrey Epstein. Not Biden, not Obama.
President Trump
no one else.
called the entire thing a Democratic hoax. I would like to ask
the gentlelady's time has expired. I gave her the additional 45 seconds she requested.
Okay,
the gentlelady yields back.
Does that mean she's going to be quiet?
I would like to ask if you would meet with the women who were sexually abused and raped and groomed at the ages of 14 and 16 years old. Are you going to cover up? Are you going to continue to cover up for the rich and powerful men, including those that might be on this committee?
I can yell too, Mr. Chairman, but I don't want to yell above this.
The time belongs to the gentleman from New Jersey.
Okay, she's hysterical. Let it go. She doesn't stop. She just keeps right on going. Hysterical. Now, Kash Patel did talk about the Epstein case. I want to get this in because I took a lot of flack the other week when I said I don't give a rat's you-know-what about the... Okay, here's... For those of you that care so much about the Epstein case, this is the big thing. No matter what else is going on in the world, and we have monumental changes going on in the world, no matter what else you want to talk about Jeffrey Epstein, this one is for you. Cut 7, I dedicate this for you, Kash Patel, today at the hearings.
On the Epstein case, the original sin on the Epstein case was how it was handled by Mr. Acosta when he first brought the case in 2006, 7, and 8. The original case had a very limited search warrant, had a very limited search window, had a very limited investigative window. I was not there when those search warrants and that investigation was launched. I would not have done it that way. They were limited to only 3 to 4 years of investigations from 97 to approximately 2001 and 2002 to 2005. Mr. Acosta allowed Mr. Epstein to enter into a plea agreement where he served weekend jails for trafficking minor women. He also was allowed to leave jail to go home on the weekends. Plus, he allowed a non-prosecution agreement to be signed as part of that plea deal, prohibiting future investigations from that prosecution and from that evidence, and prohibiting the collection of further material. That is the original sin. We are working with Congress to produce more than any administration ever has material on Epstein. And I welcome the challenge to tell us that we are not being as transparent as the law allows. We even went to court and asked the judges to lift those prosecutorial agreements and to lift those court order seals, and they denied us 3 times. Congress is welcome to do the same and join the fight.
Well, my friends, there you have it. So, for those of you that can't get along without hearing news about Jeffrey Epstein, there was news about the Jeffrey Epstein case. FBI, you can go back to the conspiracies now. Princess Diana had the perfect, by the way, answer to Ben and Jerry's leaving. She said, well, I guess Ben and Jerry shouldn't have sold out to big corporate then, huh? They shouldn't have done it. Whose fault was that, Ben? You guys sold out to big corporate interest. Well, I can't argue with that now very well, can't I? Coming back on this, the fastest hour in American media. Do not go away.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I don't come from any kind of money, and I've never owned a suit before. My wife, she bought me this suit. Our anniversary's coming up, and we have a nice anniversary plan, you know. We make a little bit of money now, and I'm proud to say that, because that's certainly not where either one of us comes from. And I feel good in this suit, man. And I just want my wife to know she made me feel good. It's a $300 suit. I ain't never had nothing like this before in my life, and I tell you what. Okay, video flip here, so I'm going to lose some of you. I didn't know Charlie Kirk, never met that guy before in my life. And something else that I've never done before in my life is believe in God. I'm going to wear this suit to church. I'm going to go to church. I'm going to try to be a better father, husband, and leader for my family. They deserve that. My phone fell down. I guess that's the devil trying to mess me up right now. I'm gonna try, y'all. Look at this suit. I look good, bro. My wife made me feel this way. Charlie's made me feel this way.
Heavenly birthday today for Roger Nichols, American composer, songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, co-wrote so many songs, including this one from The Carpenters. Out in the Country, Three Dog Night, one of his, passed away in May of this year. He was 84 years old. Also, I would be remiss if I did not mention the birthday of Hank Williams, Hiram King Williams. Hank Williams the first, not Hank Williams Jr., who has an amazing career, or Hank Williams the third, but the Hank Williams. One of the most important country music artists of all time, 35 singles. Just amazing. Passed away in 1953, but the music from him and his legacy lives on. We got to go, folks. May God bless and protect each and every single one of you, your families, your loved ones. Love and gratitude, my friends, for you being here with me, allowing me to be with you. God willing, we'll be back tomorrow for the Thursday edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. Until then, my friends, I bid you adieu. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. You can hear Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour weekdays at 4 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?